Shalom, everyone. I'm Rabbi Michael Feshbeck. We're joined tonight by Cantor Marshall Portnoy. I am thrilled to see so many of you who have managed to come out. I assume that those of you who are here do not suffer from triskaidekaphobia, and in particular, the subset of people, some of whom suffer from parskavidekatriophobia. So, well, triskaidekaphobia is fear of the number 13. And parskavi is the Greek word for Friday. So parskavidekatriophobia is fear of Friday the 13th. Now this is said to be an ancient malady, but in fact no evidence exists of any special problems with the number 13 until the Middle Ages. Tarot card games have been attested since at least 1450, with the trump card representing death numbered 13 in several variants, but there's no earlier evidence than that. So I'm glad to see that you do not suffer from parskavidekatriophobia. I could have pronounced it a few more times to practice, but it'll come around again at some other point. So welcome on this Friday the 13th. In fact, it is the month of Kislev rather than Friday the 13th, so we can always get around it that way. We open with Hine Matov, and then we turn to the song sheet for this setting of Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Umivorah. Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Menucha Umivorah. Peace and rest, every child candles bright, peaceful Shabbat be yours tonight. Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Menucha. Shabbat Shalom,
traditional psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat. Psalm 95 and Psalm 96, the opening of each, the words, instead of turning to 130 and 131 in the prayer book, we continue on the song sheet. Page 135 in the brackets in the Siddur in the prayer book, the last paragraph of Hebrew, Romamu Adonai Eloheinu, exalt Adonai our God, and bow down toward God's holy hill. Pages 138 and 139. As is our custom, stanzas 1, 2, 5, and 9, and eventually when we reach stanza 9, we will rise, we will face the door, we will face the entrance, and whoever opens and comes in at that moment will think we are all bowing to that person. But in fact, we are greeting Shabbat as a bride, as the spirit of Shabbat enters into our midst. But that's way long from now at stanza 9. Page 138.
la
Shabbat Page 139. Has anybody been cold for the last few days? Well, I don't know. This might have been subconscious on our part, but I think we're looking to the southern hemisphere because that Lachadodi, that setting was from Argentina. And as the cantor and I were preparing this night's service, we chose a setting of Shalom Aleichem on page 142, which we think is from South Africa. So we are going to the warmer continent at the moment. We're longing for summer in our selection of music tonight. Page 142. Many keys at once. So.
I was improvising all day on Shalom Aleichem, and I had that in my mind, but then I forgot we're going to do the self whatever it is. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashem, Malachei Hashem, Malachei
words come from last week's Torah portion. As we get ready for Vayishlach, this week's portion, we turn to the bottom of page 143, the last paragraph in the main section, and we read together. Waking from his sleep, Jacob said, "Truly Adonai is in this place, and I did not know it." He was awestruck and said, "How awe-inspiring is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate." We rise and we face east. Standing but face each other. Page 148 together. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night, and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Every living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch Shemo. Amen. Page 150. 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
I'm going to march much better if there's some water somewhere. Is there any water? Well, whenever you can. So thank you.
158.
Baruch atah Adonai Gad Yisrael.
Bottom of page 161. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ba'al Yerushalayim. Page 162, or the words on the bottom of the first page of the song sheet. We have heard this setting of Vishamru a couple of times before.
Shabbat, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית.
present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus left at a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. The Amidah, the Tefillah, we begin on page 164. We rise and we face east. Page 178. You may be seated.
Start at 4 o'clock from now on, Friday afternoon. So everybody come at 4, and then we'll kibitz for a little bit, and then we'll daven at 5:30. Sound like a plan? Oh, you sound wonderful. Sing with me. Come in. 1, 2, go. Shalom.
silent prayer. Middle of page 180.
Shalom Imroa, Uyase Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'yimeru,
Page 371. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah v'yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim ha'ela. O God, who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, send your blessing and your healing, your comfort and your hope to all those who are ill, to all those who are isolated and alone, to all those who are in need of healing. As we mention at this time, Charlotte Wasserman, Harry Martyr, Jill Wood, Cynthia Baylor, David Wetzel, Sonia Kaplan, Carla Gash, Marilyn Burnson. Are there any other names in the prayer for healing? Any others of those you would like to mention at this time?
Kieran Smith.
Gerald Tolber, Robert Allen,
Steve Capecci.
Ian
My friend
Oswald,
Lois and June, Brenda, and Marianne.
Sandy Tall, Lucy Kroner, Ravi Ben Miriam,
Gordon Doherty, Susan Drew.
Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh Cholim, we praise you, O God, who helps us heal, who brings us comfort. discussion with several of you as a follow-up on my observation a few months ago about whether the world follows the Torah portion or the Torah portion follows the world, and where we stand and how we look. But I must confess I was not expecting my ears to perk up as there on the news this week I heard a mention of a part of this week's Torah portion. It was a geographic feature. Bennett can't answer. I told you earlier today, before the service started. Anybody know how this week's Torah portion's geography played out in the news this week? We'll come back to it. What?
There is a sinkhole.
There's a sinkhole. Okay, well, last week was the ladder to heaven. This is the sinkhole from, no, what's the name of this week's Torah portion? Michael, I forgot. This week's portion is called Vayishlach, thank God. It was my middle child's Torah portion. And this is, if I said last week was my favorite portion, it may be that this week is my second favorite, although it's now my favorite this week. This is the portion in which weird things happen when you come into and leave the land of Israel. Last week, Jacob left. This week, he comes back. And as he enters the land of Israel, he has an encounter with something. And we don't know what that something is. It seems to use the term, last week it referred to malachim, angels, but I'm not even sure it says, and it just says ish. V'ya'avek ish imo, a man struggled with him. And it's very strange. This is widely considered to be wrestling with an angel, but what is the angel? And there are those who say that because in this week's portion, his name is changed to Yisrael, Israel. Jacob is not Jacob, but Jacob is Israel, which means what? Jacob is, who is Israel? All of us. Jacob represents the Jewish people. And therefore, if he's struggling with something, he would be struggling with, this isn't an interpretation I would use if there was a visiting church group, but he's struggling with all the non-Jewish people, right? This is the Jews versus the world, right? The Jews versus the Goyim. That somehow this is a struggle, and he walks away limping. He walks away wounded. There are those who say that it represents, the spirit of Esau in general, whether Esau is Rome, whether Esau is Christianity. We know it's not Islam because Islam is represented. Who represents Islam in the Torah? Ishmael, right? I find a lot of this to be, and Michael even asks this in his Dvar Torah tomorrow morning. I find a lot of this to be a little bit besides the point, because I think the Torah tells us exactly who Jacob is struggling with. Tomorrow morning, David is going to have the first Aliyah. Michael's older brother. That's from the very beginning of the portion, and Cantor Portnoy will chant those verses. But then we jump, and the very first verse that Michael chants starts out, Amen. Vayevater Yaakov levado. And it says, and Jacob remained alone. I think if the portion tells us he was alone, we should take it seriously. After all, alone he left the land of Israel, and alone he came back. That's very strange, because now he's coming back with 2 wives and multiple children and all kinds of sheep. But and I can tell you which he preferred on some nights, right? And when the children were bugging him, and anyway, but the Torah almost turns itself inside out to get him to be alone. He divides his camp so that Esau doesn't attack it. he sends half of it this way and half of it that way, and he sends them ahead. And then and Rashi says, oh, he crossed back over because he had forgotten some jars. It's like there's never been a clunkier opening for a Torah portion. This is called Deus Ex Machina. He had, the narrative requires that he be alone. Well, if he's alone, then what else could be going on? And here is a clue that I think comes from the portion itself as well. There is a river that is referred to at this crossing point. And it is a river that flows from Mount Hermon in the Golan, and therefore it is a river that was mentioned in the news this week that I haven't heard of for a lot of years before this. It's the river Yabok. Now, I opened tonight with the word paraskavidikeatriophobia, right? So I might as well give you another fancy word here. The word is paranomasia. Do you know what paranomasia means? Paranomasia is a fancy word for wordplay. There's a great deal of wordplay in the Bible, in the Torah especially. And so I don't think it's an act. Does the river Yabok exist? Yes. It flows from Mount Hermon. It's an important river. In fact, the 6-day war began when the Egyptians threatened to cut off the Gulf of Eilat from Israeli, the access to the Red Sea. And the Syrians threatened to cut off access to the river Yabok. But Yabok is a very interesting word for our hero in this week's Torah portion. What's Jacob's name in Hebrew? Yaakov. Okay. Now, assume some wordplay here. It's a very common thing, especially when you're studying another language. Listen, my Hebrew teacher at the Hebrew Union College was a little blunt, because Israelis can sometimes be blunt. Whenever anybody would flip a letter, she'd say, "Nu, יש לך dyslexia? Do you have dyslexia?" And we'd go, "Chana, what kind of thing is that to say?" And then she'd go, "Birtzinut, seriously. Livimim lo magalim et zeh." Sometimes we don't discover that. Ad shelomdim safa acheret, until you study another language. Right? Some of you are having trouble in studying Hebrew with the order of, right? You're not the shape of the letters, but the order is, so what happens to the river Yabok? If you take the last two letters and you flip them, it becomes Yaakov. Is this an accident? And the answer to that is maybe. But let's assume it's not. Let's assume that this is a deliberate wordplay going on. The river Yabok really exists, but it's no accident that Yaakov comes to Yabok. So what is the Torah trying to tell us here? Who is he wrestling with? It says, Vayivater Yaakov levado, and Jacob was left alone. Who is he wrestling with in the middle of the night? Tossing and turning, and injured and limping from it. Have you ever wrestled with yourself? Nobody is saying yes. I don't need the details. That's for, that's for you, between you and whoever you want to share with. But for all of us, there are moments. Sometimes it's even moments where this course of action is right and this course of action is right, and they contradict each other. Sometimes you're in a lose-lose, and neither one seems like the right thing to do. Sometimes it's about something you have done. Sometimes it's about something you are about to do. But for all of us, sometimes the most difficult opponent is when we look ourselves in the mirror and we ask, Is that what we want to see? Can you get hurt wrestling with yourself? I think it's obvious. To me, it's very clear that this portion is not about some angel. I'm not even sure it's about the spirit of Esau and the struggle of all Jews with the non-Jewish world and remaining Jewish. That may be the theme of the holiday that's coming up, of Hanukkah. But I think this is a portion about looking inward. And by coincidence, Cantor Portnoy last week was at a different synagogue and heard the rabbi refer to last week's portion. And there was a line in last week's portion about the angels of God going up the ladder and coming down. And the rabbi last week that he heard shared an insight that I had not heard before, that links my interpretation of this week's portion to last week, and says, remember, that too was in a dream. The going up and the coming down. That too took place in the inner life of Jacob, inside. That which goes up, that which brings us down, that we wrestle with. This power of the Torah, the reason you're still doing this after all these years, Michael, that scroll seems to be about them and then. But it's also about what happens inside us. It's also about here and now. It's history-ish. But it's also our story. That's the power of coming together and wrestling with these words. Shabbat Shalom. Michael, David, if you'll help with the ark doors, please, if you'll come forward. Eleno is on the bottom of page 586. And as we continue with Eleno, please rise.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Everybody who's here this evening, and to all of you who are watching from home. If you don't know me, I'm Linda Karp, President of Beth Israel, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all here this evening, and to mention that tomorrow morning will be the bar mitzvah of Michael Simpson, who is the son of Matt Simpson and Judy Simpson, brother of David, grandson of Dr. Allen and Carol Simpson. And we as a congregation wish you Mazel Tov for tomorrow. Please join us following services for candles, and I have notes here to talk about the choir, but you already have. So just a reminder that if you would like to join the choir, please come next Friday at 4 o'clock. And all of you watching from home, if you would like to join, we would love to have you. There will be, for families and young children, joining Rabbi Feshbach and Miss Cookie for a J-Place Tot Shabbat pre-Hanukkah celebration on Wednesday, December the 18th at 5:30. There will be Hanukkah craft, latkes, and fun, and the cost is $18 per household. Please, if you want to come, call the office so that we make sure to have enough food. And I want to tell you, I'm just going to briefly mention, and then Rabbi is going to talk about our really special service, our MLK service on January the 17th at 7 p.m. I believe that the choir is going to sing that evening, correct, Cantor? And Rabbi is going to speak to you about that evening, but it will be fabulous. So after you hear about it from him, please make sure that you will try to be there. Debbie Rossman will lead us in a discussion of our speaker for the MLK service, who is Michael Twitty. He has books which Rabbi is going to talk about, but our next book group on January the 15th will be at 1 p.m., and Debbie Rossman will lead that, and we'll talk about those books. Also, I want to mention to you to please save the date and plan to come. February the 8th, we are going to have Top Golf at Ocean Resort in Atlantic City. It is going to be a major fundraiser for Beth Israel. There's going to be food, fun, and visual sports. You will get to play Top Golf, but it's a virtual. We're hoping that people will come and have teams. It will be a lot of fun. You're going to hear a lot about it. Again, it is February the 8th. It is a Saturday evening. And I do want to mention, I think we have mentioned before, but Cantor Portnoy is playing on our brand new keyboard. And it sounds wonderful. I know you are happy with it. And it was donated to the synagogue by Gail and Howard Gross. And I again want to thank them for that. And I do want to invite Gail to come up because she has something that she would like to say. So this would be the time. And with that, I bid everybody Shabbat Shalom.
I'd like you to notice there are copies of this out in the foyer. Phil's is a group called Friends of Encore Learning. It's a combination of individuals who teach classes at the Margate at the Margate Library, as well as Atlantic City, in Atlantic City at Stockton. But the reason I particularly want to mention this is because our own rabbi will be teaching a class called Israel and Identity, a small country with an oversized claim on our attention. January 16th, one class from 1:30 to 3, then again on February 20th, and then the last class will be March 20th. And I would simply like to say that one of the attendants, man, is such a pleasure and so brilliant.
Tell me who to pay later.
They are interested in becoming a congregant, so we'll bring the
Whoa,
first.
even better.
So if you can see this, there's some.
Excited about is January 17th. It looks like we have 5 and perhaps 6 of the schools we've invited this year who have given us candidates for the Spirit of Martin Luther King Award. This is the 3rd year we are doing this in our community. I believe it has a real impact. And Linda, did you know that the young woman from Mainland who spoke the first year we did this, who had that whole speech about the pink tax, although she didn't use that term, and how feminine hygiene products should be free to women all around the world, and the older women in our congregation goes, I can't believe she's saying that out loud at a synagogue. She's right, I agree with her, I can't believe she's saying that. She got invited to speak somewhere else as a result of that, and somewhere else, and it's become, some aspect of that has become a law in New Jersey as a result of our first Martin Luther King Spirit of Israel, Spirit of Martin Luther King Awards. So you never know what is going to happen with these young people. But on January 17th, the keynote speaker is a friend of mine who's now quite well known. He is Orthodox-ish, Jewish, African American, gay, and an expert in in African American, Southern, and Jewish cuisine. His 2018 book, The Cooking Gene, won the James Beard Award, and something strange happened to me at stage.
There are stars up above, so far away you see them, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brighter, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the stars that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways
We remember,
as we live our days. These are the ways
we remember, we remember.
יש כוכבים שאותם מגיע ארצה רק כאשר הם עצמם עברו בינם. יש אנשים שזיו זכרם מאיר כאשר הם ממונם עוד בתוכנו. מנורות המפיקים בחשכת הליל, הם שמראים לעולם את הדרך, הם שמראים לעולם את הדרך. As we live
Our days, these are the ways we remember. We remember.
as we live
Our days, these are the ways we remember. We remember Aaron Abraham, Louis Ager, Leah Ambam, Faye Arcus, Samuel Bookbinder, Betty Jane Brickman, Elizabeth Clofine, Dr. Arthur Dintifas, Nettie Fishpine, Jack Gilbert, Lena Gottlieb, Joy Gottlieb, Sarah Groveman, Eugene Gullo, Victorine Herrick, Yetta Israel, Ursula Katz, Joseph Licciardello, Bernard Meltzer, Harriet Morris, Morris Nathanson, William Pincus, Phyllis Pinner, Gladys Pred, Bernice Denise Rappaport, Abraham Rosenthal, Renee Saber, Frida Staller, Matthew Stark Jr., Samuel Warshall, Joel Wissenfeld, Adele Winnick, Fred Wolf, Jesse Wolfstein. Is there anyone else to say Kaddish for someone whose name I did not mention or any of the names I may have mispronounced? The memories of all of our loved ones are with us, our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn to page 598 and rise as a congregation for Kaddish Yatom, for the mourner's Kaddish itself. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach Yerusei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayei chon v'yomei chon v'chayei b'chol beit Yisrael, ba'arabah v'zman karib v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah v'orach le'olam omei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'chudusha v'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mrama, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace who mourn to all who are, may the source of peace send peace to all those who mourn in our midst and comfort all the bereaved among us, and we're all those who are suffering the pain of loss everywhere, and together let us say, Amen. In a moment, Michael and David will lead us in candles, kiddush, and motzi. We conclude with Adon Olam on page 600, I believe 625, and then we'll transition to the blessings and eventually dinner.
You have to help me with the words because I go so fast and I play the piano and I don't remember what comes next. Adon Olam.
Adon Olam.
Good for you. Adon Olam.
Adon Olam.
Asher Malach.
Asher Malach.
B'terem kol.
B'terem kol nivra.
Le'et nasa.
Le'et nasa.
V'chefso kol.
V'chefso kol.
Azay melech
Melech
shemo nikra. Together. Adon Olam Asher Malach. B'terem kol yitzir nivra. Le'et nasa v'chefso kol. Azay melech shemo nikra. V'yacharei. V'yacharei.
V'yacharei.
Kichlot hakol.
Kichlot hakol.
לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה,
והוא היה.
והוא הווה,
והוא הווה.
והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצותו, אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
והוא אחד.
והוא אחד, here we go. והוא אחד,
והוא אחד.
ואין שני.
ואין שני.
להמשילו להעבירה בלי ראשית,
בלי ראשית.
בלי תכלית,
בלי תכלית.
ולא המוז והמזרח, אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצותו, אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
והוא אלי.
והוא אלי, וחי גולי,
חי גורלי.
וצוחק לי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי.
והוא ניסי.
ומנוס לי,
ומנוס לי.
מנקזי ביומך רב, אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצותו, אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
בידו.
בידו,
בידו.
הפקיד רוחי,
הפקיד רוחי.